"45-minute stretch class that I did, I think about a month ago, is the most popular video that I've done, interestingly enough. So I thought it was time to do another one. So I'll have you just start in seated. I like to sit myself up on a cushion. If you have a strap or maybe even a tie at home, something similar to this, that would be fantastic. If not, we'll make do. The great thing about being at home is you can be really creative about your props. So we'll just start in a seated position, and it might look like this, it might not look like this, just as long as you're feeling relatively comfortable and your pelvis is in a neutral position, so you're not leaning back and obstructing your breath. So let's sit nice and tall and be really happy that we've arrived to our mat. And before I go any further, if we haven't met before, my name's Cheryl, and this is Yoga with Cheryl. If you haven't hit subscribe, please do so, because sometimes we forget at the end of the video, and it helps me to help you. So, taking your seat, let's just turn our gaze inward for a moment. And I don't know about you, but I've been sitting at my desk all morning, and it feels good just to take a few conscious breaths. I'm going to take a breath in through my nose and exhale out through my mouth. I can feel my stress decompressing. I can feel it just putting it to the side. Whatever is there will wait. Again, inhale through the nose, filling the belly, filling the lungs so the belly expands. And exhale. I can feel my shoulder tension decompressing. Once more, inhale through the nose. And exhale. Already a little bit better. So this should take about 45 minutes once again. And if you need to pause, come back, we'll join later. It's the beauty of having these available on this format. So just start to create some circle motions. We'll start to, almost like if this is your tailbone, you're circling it on the floor or on your prop, and you're going to start kind of small, just kind of like you're moving and rocking side to side across your sitting bones. And following your breath. And it might feel good that you want to go a little bit larger in amplitude or maybe a little bit smaller. And we'll start to reduce that and come back to center. And then start in the other direction. Inhale, and as you exhale, forward, inhale to come up and around. It's really very fluid. So the snow is starting to melt outside. There are signs of spring as we approach March. A couple more circles around. And you might be watching me from somewhere where there isn't snow. In which case, I have to admit, I'm a little bit envious. I know envy isn't really the most beneficial feeling, but I'm just being honest here. So coming back to center. And we'll just take that spine now and kind of move it a little side to side. So before it was circular, and now we're just going to rock from one side of our pelvis to the other. You're not bouncing, just kind of very fluid, getting some of the blood flowing. And you know what? If you've been sitting all day and you'd rather do this standing at the beginning, by all means. And now we'll let the pelvis stay relatively neutral and kind of just move the shoulders. So it kind of feels like the spine is doing one of these. Kind of very kind of fluid. People that come to class, and I often refer to it as kind of moving like seaweed because that's what it reminds me of. And I haven't found another way of comparing it. Just getting some little kind of organic movement in the spine. And come back to center. We'll do the same thing, but just isolating the shoulders. So again, rearrange your sitting position. Make sure you're relatively neutral from your base. And on the in-breath, let your shoulders come up to the ears and exaggerate that. Just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You can even make fists as you squeeze, 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 squeeze. And exhale, soften them down. Again, we'll exaggerate the tension. Squeeze them up. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Squeeze your arms and one more time. Inhale, lift the shoulders up to the ears. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And exhale. Shake it out. Just shake it out. So just isolating your left shoulder. Inhale, let that left shoulder come up, down, and around. You can kind of look in that same direction. Giving that left shoulder some love. And you can let that elbow be a little bit more soft, a little more fluid. We'll do the same thing with the right shoulder. So taking a look to the right, look to that right shoulder and sweeping it up, down, and around. And of course, anything we do today, if it doesn't feel right, if it causes pain, you stop. And there we go. So we're going to move the shoulders in a piston-like fashion. So just one, alternate, alternate, alternate. Almost like it's a teeter-totter. It's a bit of an exaggeration. We often do this standing in one of my chakra classes. You'll start to notice this kind of heats you up. You can even release your arms down, or kind of feels a little bit odd with your arms kind of up there. But you're going to start to feel something along your side body. And then come back down, roll the shoulders up, down, and around. We're going to take our hands, brush them together, create some friction. It also warms up your arms. You take those hands and place them up near your trapezius, up at the, just where your hands, just wrap them around your shoulder here and start to gently just take that tissue and like you're pulling it forward a little bit. Just a gentle massage, or maybe you'd like to just maybe even one arm at a time might feel more appropriate. Just getting into that shoulder tissue that we just accessed a little bit more. Mine's pretty tight, as I mentioned, it's from sitting at the computer. So we have now gone, I'll just talk like you're out there with me. We have started to open up again, and that means I'm back into teaching some classes in studio. And that means revamping the website again. And so that's why I've been sitting at the computer, creating some new classes. Most of March classes are sold or selling out, and then already booking for April. So that's really encouraging that people want to come back to the mat and in class. Our class, of course, are limited to 6 so that we keep that distance that is necessary to keep us all healthy. So let's take another deep breath in and exhale. Already feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit better. Take your arms out wide, palms facing down. Stretch those fingers out wide, really reaching from your heart, reaching out, reaching out, reaching out. Now rotate your palms up. Feel your scapula kind of move down your back. Tilt your chest, your rib cage up just a little bit. Opening through the throat a little bit. Now draw your thumb slightly back. Yeah, so you're getting a really nice stretch from the inner edges, the under part here of your arm, all the way up and back, and just lifting through the rib cage. This one always reminds me of saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the day. And of course, we're really careful on the neck. We don't drop it far back. We never compromise anything just to achieve a pose. Let's bring those arms closer together. Take the right arm underneath the left and place that left elbow on top. If that's not available, that's okay. Bring it to wherever you can. But I'm going to take my left elbow, and I'm getting sloppy with my speaking. I'm going to take my left elbow and place it in the crease of my right arm and bring my arms together. And if it's available, you'll take your thumb and wrap it around the other thumb. And so this will get into the tissue between your shoulder blades. So inviting you to, if you're not feeling something there, begin to elevate your elbows and then maybe tilt your chest up again and feeling a nice stretch in between your scapula. I'm rude, you can't see me. I'm going to take some breaths here. And then we'll release that out. So right now the right arm is underneath, so we'll bring the right arm on top. So inhale, reach up, out, and wide, and exhale, right elbow onto the left inner edge of your crease of your elbow, left, and taking thumb if that's available, or palms or backs of hands. And again, if you're not feeling some sensation of stretching, oh, here comes Chloe. She realized that we were recording and didn't want to miss out. Hello, Miss Chloe. You're the star of the show, aren't you? Yes, you want to sit by the fireplace because you know it's on. So squeezing those elbows together, maybe tilt your chest up ever so slightly. Hi, you can lay on my mat or you can lay on the floor. I'm not getting your cushion right now, okay? You're a good girl. You're going to have to wait. To wait for your place by the fire, okay? Yes. Beautiful. Inhale, stretch those arms out wide. Give a little pet to your furry friends if they're around. And we'll once again bring the right elbow underneath and bring those arms back together. And just start to create some movement here. So again, kind of like you're circling your elbows. You're going to feel this around your rib cage area. So right elbow underneath and kind of just circling around. And we'll circle in the other direction. So Chloe's really happy that we have some snow again. They have, because they're Chihuahuas and we've had really deep snow, I've had to go out and shovel little pathways for them. Otherwise they would be buried. So we'll release that, extend the arms out, left arm underneath, and we'll do that same motion, kind of circle around. Not something that we typically get to do. And of course, anytime if it doesn't feel right, you don't do it, we'll circle around the other way. And take those arms out wide. I'm going to actually have you place them on the floor, fingertips just grazing, just kind of down, touching to the floor, and draw your shoulder blades down your back body. Here she is again. Keeping the right fingers on the floor, rotate your left palm up. Inhale, reaching that left arm up to the sky. Just be careful here of the shoulder. You don't want to be causing any additional pinching or pain. Maybe soften it a little bit, maybe even soften your top fingers a little bit. Maybe the right hand comes to the floor. I'm going to bend into that right elbow and start to stretch and open up through the lateral, that left side body as I gaze down towards my right hand. Kind of feel like a ballerina here. Option is to back off a little bit, especially if it's aggravating anything in your shoulder. Press into that right hand. Inhale, come all the way up, 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 out, down and around. We'll do that same thing on the other side. So left fingers touch down, right palm sweeps up. Inhale to reach up. And exhale, bending into that left elbow, wrapping that right arm. Just soften that right elbow, soften the right shoulder. Look down towards the left hand. Hi, Chloe. Breathe into your right ribs. I know I've taken your spot in the fire, eh? That's okay. I think people show up just to see you, honestly. I do. You're the star. It should be yoga with Chloe. Inhale, yes, you think so too, right? Inhale, come all the way up, and exhale down and around. Take those hands. If your legs are needing a little bit of a break, uncross them, move them around, and maybe cross them the other way. We're not quite finished in this position. Start to walk those hands forward. Spread your fingers nice and wide, and just let the head bow down. Soften the shoulders, soften the elbows. Find your breath. Nice. Let's walk those hands back up. I might have to have you move in a minute there, Chloe. Let's unwind the legs. And I'm going to have you, I'm getting lazy, put the feet so that you're lying lengthwise on the mat. Excuse us, Chloe. I'll have to share your space. And start to lower your spine down to the ground. Back of the head, the center of the head on the floor. So we want to be careful that we're not jutting up and compressing the upper neck. And just, sorry, not the upper neck, any of the neck. So the center of the back of the head on the floor. Hopefully you don't have something on your head like I do. Walk your feet in so that the ankles are underneath the knees, and walk your shoulder blades in so that they're flush on the floor. So if we have a tendency of rounding, you might kind of be sitting on the edges of your shoulder blades, but see if you can walk them under, even just for a few breaths at a time, each time you come to the mat, to start to open up and stretch that tissue that might be shortened or tight in the front of the chest. Let's draw that right knee in. You can engage the abdominal muscles as we do that. Hug that right knee in with the hands. Extend your left leg down along the ground. Last time I used the strap for a sequence, but today we'll see what happens. And start to rotate that right ankle. The left leg is nice and strong. Keep that left hip down on the ground. Left glute down on the ground. So today is February 25th, I believe. Sometimes I lose track because of every day kind of seems like the next on in terms of my scheduling, or revolve the other way. So soon we are into March. And this weekend I have yoga teacher training coming up. And I'm really looking forward to that because it's been 6 weeks because of lockdown that we weren't able to meet. So I've got 6 students who are really eager to start their teaching, and they will graduate soon. So we get to meet with them this weekend. Start to extend that right leg up to the sky. Engage your right quadricep and keep your left leg nice and strong as well. If you find that you're lifting up to hold here, use your strap or just hold a little bit lower down on the leg. Let's just point and flex and notice how that gets into the tissue in the back of the leg here. So it's called plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. I was actually in an appointment the other day and I was on my belly and I was asked to dorsiflex, or maybe it was plantar flex, I can't remember. And I was so discombobulated being upside down. I'm like, I didn't know which way was up. So sometimes that happens, especially if we're oriented differently than usual. So we're going to point and flex a couple more times. And then I'm going to keep my toes drawing down towards me. Right knee, hug it into the chest. And start to take that knee across the body. So before we do that, let's plant that right foot down, move your hips over to the right, and draw that knee across the body. Move any mic stuff that might be in your way too. Let that toe rest on the inner edge of the thigh. So notice my right hip is now stacking over my left. Open up that right shoulder a little bit more. See if I can bring that right shoulder back on the ground. Maybe place my hand on my right ribs. Take a few more breaths here. Really feeling that breath move in and out. Draw that knee back to center. You can't have my hand right now. Draw that knee back to center. I know. And release that leg down to the ground. So let's slide that left heel in and draw the left knee up. Engage your belly to get it here. I'm circling that left ankle. I'm going to lengthen that leg up to the sky. Point and flex. And feeling that into that left leg. You can always lengthen your right leg down if you did it on the other side. Chloe, you can't be scratching in my videos. It makes it look like you have fleas. And you don't. That's a new... Are you dehydrated? So everybody, we're all inside in the middle of winter. Let's point and flex a few more times. We have to make sure that we're getting lots of water, especially when we're inside getting dehydrated, all the dry winter air. Let's keep those toes drawing down towards the nose. Press the the hamstrings into the hands, creating a little bit of resistance, keeping that chest open. See if you can keep your rib cage on the floor too. And then bending that knee, hug that knee into the chest. And we'll take that across the body. So let's place that foot down, move your hips to the left, and start to roll over to the right. Let the toe rest on your inner thigh. And you can even come onto your side body and then open up a little bit more. Let's see. And if this shoulder is way off the ground, if you have a pillow and you'd like to put it on there, you can keep your head in this position. But if it's available, extend your left arm out to the side. Just want to feel that rotation start way down here. So we've rolled the pelvis over. We're starting that rotation from down low and opening up. Notice how you can breathe into your left ribs. We'll unwind and we'll bring that all back to center. That knee in one more time and then lower it down. Pulling over onto your left side to just help yourself back up and over onto your hands and your knees. Fingers spread nice and wide. Let's move through some cow and cat positions for the spine. So we want to make sure the front of the wrists are maybe even slightly ahead of the shoulders. A lot of our wrists prefer that as opposed to being back here. The wrists often don't move at that 90-degree fashion. So adjust the distance from your body for your hands. Gripping down through the tips of your fingers, doming out a little bit through the under part of your thumb, under part of your hand. And as you press into the earth, begin to round out the spine. Take a look towards your navel. And breathe into the back of your body here. Notice how you can stretch out those intercostal muscles. Notice how you can breathe and expand those tight intercostal muscles and your rib cage area. Concentrate on pulling your navel to the spine. On the exhalation. On the inhale, come back to neutral tabletop, hips over the knees. And then taking the spine in a different direction, letting your sitting bones rise, let your belly drop and your collarbone shine forward. Now, if this feels uncomfortable in your low back, you don't do it. The collarbones, as if they're smiling nice and wide. Opening up a little bit more through the throat. And we'll stay in this position as you breathe. So inhale, expand your belly. It's like your organs are getting a little bit of a holiday. They get to drop down away from the back of the body. And on the exhalation, you will bring your belly to your spine, but you're not rounding your back here. So I'm not dropping lazy into my wrists. I'm pressing the floor away, keeping some support through my arms. Feeling strength across my upper back. Let's put that all together. So inhale and exhale, navel to spine. Look towards your belly button. Pull the hips towards your elbows. And on the in breath, just rocking that pelvis forward. Open the chest, open the throat. And exhale, take it at your own pace. Really massaging all along the spine. Now come back to center. Walk your hands more forward. So now it's like you're sort of reaching forward. Tuck your toes in the back of the body and begin to slowly rock. And again, if this compresses your shoulders too much, then bring your hands back a little bit more. We'll rock forward and back using the connection to your breath. So inhale, coming forward, and if your shoulders surpass your wrists, you walk your hands a little more forward. Exhale, draw back. Inhale, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, sitting bones back to the heels. Getting a nice lengthening here through the back of the body and opening through the front of the armpits. It feels so good to consciously breathe. Next time you come back, stay here, walk your elbows in, stack your fists if that floor feels far away. And just stretch out the toes a little bit more, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Breathing into your back rib cage. Let's unwind those feet. Let the tops of the ankles come back down to the floor. Walk your hands, pick yourself up, walk your hands over to the right and lower down. Can be here softly. Again, you can stack your arms to support your forehead. Take about 5 breaths here into that left side body, left outer hip, left lower back. And this is Coco now, coming to see. Hi. Yep. Okay. Thank you, Coco. Yes, I know. Thank you. You giving love to everybody that's watching? Yeah, thank you. No, that's enough love. I got to go over to the other side now. Inhale, come up, and exhale over to the other side. Yes, thank you, Beaners. Coco is 13 years old, aren't you? Yes, I know. You're both just, yeah, I know. All the love, all the love. They're not liking that I've had to leave the house and go back into the studio because they're used to having me home 24/7 now. Coco or Chloe, that's not really the best part of your body for me right now. Breathe one more breath here into your right rib cage. So I think everybody now can appreciate what it's like, or most of us can appreciate what it's like to work from home with animals, pets, deliveries, doorbells, people coming and going. It's a whole new world, isn't it? Yes, I know. So coming back up, come onto your sitting bones. Extend your right leg out wide. And if you have your strap, if you can still see me, I know you've got some obstructions in the way. If you have your strap, and you're able to loop it, bring it around your right foot. Checking out the position of your pelvis. If you're rolling back, maybe sit your sitting bones up on something so that feel that your spine is uplifted. Take that right leg out as wide as is available. And this might feel like a really suitable stretch for you without going any further. So we honor that. We'll breathe here. I'm feeling some sensation through the inner edge of my right leg. I'm keeping my shoulders directly above my hips. Hey, Coco and Chloe. I know. It's yoga with dogs, isn't it? You're good girls. So if you'd like to go a little bit further, maybe walk your right hand down towards that right foot. If your foot's available, you can hold that, or you can continue to use the support of the strap. Let your right elbow bend down towards that right knee. Keep that left sitting bone plugged down towards the ground. Feel that stretch through the left side body. This might be enough. If you'd like a little bit more, extend that left arm, reaching it beyond the head, and reaching that fingers a nice distance from your hip, keeping the hip plugged down, and soften the tension in the shoulder here. I like to just keep gazing forward. If you'd prefer to look down, then do so. If looking up aggravates my neck, so I'm not doing that. And I don't suggest that you do anything that aggravates you. If that foot is available, you'll keep reaching towards it, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you a better yogi. Actually, the more insightful yogi is the one that pays attention to those sensations and honors where they're at. So be an insightful and mindful yogi or person coming to stretch. We'll take 2 more conscious breaths into that left side body from that left hip all the way up. So our bodies don't often have the opportunity through the day to move into this lateral flexion. And for me, it feels pretty good. Your QL, that big muscle back here, gets a nice stretch from this. And engaging through your abdominals. So stabilize and then inhale, come all the way up and exhale out and down. Let's bring that right foot in. We'll switch sides. Take that strap around your left foot as you reach it out to the side. Right heel in towards into your groin. Walking that left heel out nice and wide so you're feeling a stretch to that inner left thigh. Square your shoulders over your hips. Hello. And stay here for a few breaths. Does this feel as if you're at your edge? You're feeling some sensation of stretching through your inner left thigh? Then stay right here. If you're not really feeling anything and you know it's appropriate, start to explore. Keeping that chest facing open. Even if the chest face is open, you can gaze down. Again, maybe right here, keeping that right hip plugged down. Maybe starting to reach that right arm up. Maybe it softly drapes over the head or reaches to the space beyond, taking care of your shoulder, maybe the toe. And if this happens to reach your toe, then come back. I'd rather see your lower body stay rooted to the earth. Take some conscious breath, the lateral aspect here of the right side body. That just feels so good. Engaging through your abdominals. Inhale, come up and up and up. And exhale out and down. Let's remove that strap. Bring the soles of both feet together. Take your hands around your ankles and walk your sitting bones in a little closer. Taking your hands and just interlacing those around your toes. Option, blocks under your knees or holding your outer edges of your knees. If this feels like it's really, if coming to this position makes you round, then please bring some support to underneath your knees. We want to keep the chest open and the breathing free, and we don't want to compromise that low back. So the intention here isn't to be rounding in our low back. Draw the shoulders down and see if you can, without bouncing or forcing, let those knees come down towards the ground. Take an in-breath here. If the knees come down to the ground with relative ease, can start to hinge forward, taking your pelvis and rotating the pelvis over the thigh bone. So make sure you're not folding from the waist. If you're folding from the waist, I want you to stop. Take your pelvis, rotate it over your femurs, those thigh bones, and keep that lower back lengthening. Your elbows may assist the inner edges of your thighs, and reach your crown of your head in the opposite direction of your sitting bones. And when we think about our collarbone as smiling, it's like we open up our chest. And when I think about my collarbone as smiling, it makes me smile too. They're scavengers. They're hoping for food, I think, these two. Pressing up, reaching up on that in-breath. Let's reach the left leg forward and take that right foot and cross it over the left knee. Wrap the hands around the shin. Inhale, come up nice and tall. My left toes point to the sky. Hug that knee in. Sometimes it gets a little bit lazy, so we want to keep some energy, kind of magnetize the inner thigh towards your center line. Inhale, get a little bit taller. And on the exhalation, bringing that left shoulder towards that knee, taking a look over your right shoulder, maybe hugging that in. An option, if you have body parts that are in the way, you can open in the other direction. So make some space for those body parts. So that's always an option. So when we're here with presence, with the intention to get tall. So inhale, get tall. Exhale, revolve, look over the back shoulders. You keep hugging that knee into the chest. So thinking about an internal rotation here of that right leg, that right upper thigh. Come back to center on that in-breath. And exhale, let's release that down. Taking the left foot, crossing it over the right knee. Right toes point to the sky, hands wrapping around the left shin. Inhale, get tall. On your next exhalation, start to bring your right shoulder towards that left knee. Remember, we're magnetizing that inner thigh towards the center line. Inhale. And exhale, revolving. Start way down low, hug that knee in, looking over the back shoulder. If you opened up on the other side, then I encourage you to do that movement on this side too. If you're leaning into your backhand, see if you can relax some of that tension in the shoulder. That backhand is here just for a little bit of support. We find most of the support by reaching up out of our crown as you breathe in. And keep that length to maintain the stability. On the exhalation, it's when we find the rotation. So inhale, lengthening. Exhale, rotating. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, rotating. Inhale, coming back to center. Nice. So last time we started with both legs in, and we've done one leg at a time. Now let's take the right leg out to the side and the left leg out to the side. If you find that you're collapsing in your low back, bend your knees, okay? So maintain the structural integrity and that dignity of your spine. That is more important than lengthening your legs out. Alternately, grab some cushions from your couch and place those underneath your knees. So this is a yoga stretch class. We're not doing any chanting. We're not any particular breath work, although it's always important to remember to follow your breath. So you can stay right here. We're receiving a stretch through our hamstrings, through the inner thighs. If, however, this feels agreeable and that your body would benefit from going a little bit further, the body benefiting, not the mind saying, I want to go deeper. So really listening in, what does my body need right now? I think it needs to maybe express a little bit more length. So on the exhalation, start to slowly, and just come to that first place that you feel it and stop there and breathe there. My toes are active, so I'm pressing. Those heels are still rooting into the ground. My thigh bones are pressing down into the ground as well, and I'm activating my quadriceps. Maintaining that beautiful, almost a ballerina length through your spine. And on your next exhalation, if there's a little bit more that feels right, come down even further. If you rounded to get here, bring your heart towards me, please. Broaden your chest. You can rest on your hands. Close your eyes, feel the breath, feel the length in the back of the legs, the length from the sitting bones to your spine. Draw your shoulders broad down your back. And of course, if more is available, if you're hyper flexible, it might actually do you good not to go to your maximum and instead start to work on your stabilizing and strengthening muscles. So it's always something to be really aware of, especially if you're drawn to stretching classes because you're really flexible. Maybe you need to think about stabilizing, not so much about your flexibility. So just something to think about in the back of your head when you look at the type of classes that you're drawn to. Ask why that is. Am I drawn to them because I find them easy? Or am I drawn to them because I know they're good for me? So only you can answer that question. Let's use our hands, come back up. Now we're going to stretch out our quadriceps. So we spent some time, especially even in the last session, stretching out our hamstrings. So let's pay attention to our quadriceps. Bring those legs together and coming to kneeling, coming into, we call this Vadrasana in yoga. If it's available, drop your sitting bones down in between your heels. So not really stretching out the quadriceps here. For some of you it might, but for me, I'm not feeling this. If this is not available to you, you can come to standing and stretch out your quadriceps in this way, right? More traditional, open your collarbones. If your knee came way out here, draw your inner edges of your thighs together, that idea of magnetizing them and pulling your heel, drawing your heel in towards your glute as the kneecap presses down. Nice option, especially if your balance is a little bit tricky. So you can either stay standing and you'll switch sides, of course. Make sure you do enough on each side. If this is available to you, we'll do both quadriceps simultaneously by lowering the chest down to the ground. Now, if you have some cushions that you'd like to lean on or a bolster, you can stop halfway down. This might feel appropriate. Notice if your knees come up, excuse me, if they do, you're probably stretching more of your ankles, and it might mean that you're at your edge for your quadriceps. So knowing that our quadriceps are what we're addressing here, keep those knees plugged down and begin to lower your spine if this is available. Otherwise, again, you've got other options that I've given you. Keep pressing the kneecaps down and feeling that lengthening through those quadriceps. Excuse me. If you're feeling a pinching in your low back, pay attention to that. Bring a little bit of abdominal contraction in. That will also increase the stretching through your quadriceps if you engage your abdominals a little bit more. And maybe if it's suitable for you and your quadriceps need this, lengthening your arms down just beyond your head, letting them rest supported on the earth. Continuing to keep the shins pressing down to the floor and a little bit of awareness on what's going on in your low back here so you're not pinching your back. We don't want to do that. You can always come up, right? So if you've just found me on YouTube, that's wonderful. Thank you. I do have a website. It's yogawithcheryl.net. Could put classes on there and trips when we're traveling. Do lots of international yoga trips. They're more yoga holidays because it's very much a social sightseeing, wine with dinner kind of thing. But until that happens, we can just remember all those wonderful opportunities we had to travel. We had 5 trips that were canceled in 2020. Notice I'm distracting you here by talking. Sometimes this can be pretty intense. If you're still standing, make sure you switch sides. We'll take a few more breaths. So, and start to come out of whatever shape you're in, either from standing, come back down and meet us on the ground. Begin to help yourself up. Coming into downward dog. So if you're standing, you'll meet us in tabletop. So yes, 5 trips were canceled last year because of COVID, keeping people safe by not traveling. Begin to draw your sitting bones back and then lift your sitting bones up to the sky as we come into downward facing dog. Now, if this is not available for you and you've got some shoulder restrictions that prevent this, maybe it's available for you to stretch out your calves and your legs from this position. And alternating as you need. I'm coming back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, pulling those sitting bones up and back. So the apex here, the height of your posture is your sitting bones rising to the sky. Press the hands into the earth, draw the crown down in between the hands. Those elbows, again, are magnetized towards each other. And depending on what your flexion is like in your shoulders, you might have your arms a little bit wider. That might make it a little bit more accessible for you. So work with what you've got. You might even have your feet a little bit wider. And be here a little bit more organically as you press the earth away. Pull those heels down towards the earth. And draw the navel up into the spine. Engage your quadriceps. Release your neck. And lowering those knees down to the ground. Let's get into our hip flexors. Draw the right knee up in towards your right wrist and pivot your heel towards that left inner thigh. Option number 1 is coming into 90-90. You can come right here. If it's available, lengthen your left leg behind you and see if you can square your pelvis to the top of your mat. Check out that this left thigh, this left leg is in one line, so it's not way out there and it's not pivoting in. Internal rotation. Inhale, lengthening, and exhale, starting to descend, keeping that weight evenly distributed between your pelvis. You can use a prop to sit that right sitting bone up. So this is medicine, especially if you're a runner. If your shoulders are way up here, please soften them down your back. You can use your hands to rest your forehead. You can use a yoga block if you have it, or melt and surrender all the way down to the earth. Plan to be here for a couple of minutes. If it was a yin class, I'd leave you here silently, contemplating moment by moment. But I think today I'll talk to you. So we were supposed to be going, well, last year I had the opportunity to travel to Cambodia in January with a group, which was wonderful just before COVID hit. And then I was supposed to be heading to India in February. I had just come back in December. So I'm very thankful for these opportunities. But I was not allowed to go to India in February. And so India is calling to me. March, we were supposed to be, a group of us were booked to go to Bali. Bali is my second home. I love it there. And then in May, we were supposed to be going to Portugal. So some of you are watching. That may happen yet, but we will be patient on that. And I believe we had a retreat in Canada booked for June and also one for July. It was a busy year that was planned, but the universe had other plans. And then Italy again in September, which got postponed. And so here we are a year later, eagerly awaiting when we can see other countries again, meet new people, explore cultures. I think Thailand was also postponed, and such wonderful opportunities, and those countries waiting for us. And as we're waiting, the earth, I'm thinking to myself, is healing. There's less pollution from the airplanes. And I think people are getting outside more, or that's my experience anyway from my windows when I look outside. We live on the river, and I've seen more boats and paddle boarders and all sorts of things, snowshoeing, lots of activity on the river that includes mobility and health. Okay, so I've distracted you a long time. Let's inhale, come up. Draw that left knee in. Very nice. Just for a moment, stay in this kind of 90-90. Take an in-breath, and on the out-breath, rotate over to the right. That left glute is off the floor here. Just there for a couple of breaths, and we'll switch sides. So draw that left foot in. You can come right back to tabletop. That was our originating spot if you prefer to come into it this way, and draw your left knee up towards your left wrist, sliding that right leg back, or 90-90. You can fold forward from here if this is what you did on the other side. If it's available, draw that right leg back, one long line right out of your hip socket, and squaring off your pelvis. Place something underneath your left hip if necessary, especially if you're kind of rolling to one side. Take an in-breath, and on that out-breath, start to slowly descend, and you don't have to reach the ground. Skin might stop partway down. Let your hip receive this. Soften your shoulders. What other stories can I tell you as I leave you here in this pose called pigeon? And the Sanskrit Ekapadaraja Kapotanasana, sometimes called swan. Breathe here. Breathe into this medicine for your left hip. And as the body responds to this pose, maybe backing off, maybe bowing down. Soften shoulders. Find your breath. Maybe we'll honor silence for a few moments. Really feel into that coming and going of your breath. So see if you can follow the breath right from its origin when it comes in through your nose. Fills the capacity of your lungs, including the back of your lungs. So feel yourself breathing into the back of your ribs. And softening. Feeling breath move in. And feeling breath move out. Using your hands on the in-breath, pressing up. Sweep that back leg in, lean over to your left, draw that right leg in. Left hand beside your left hip, inhale. And as you exhale, looking over that left shoulder, that right glute is coming off the floor just a little bit. And you'll come back to center and come right down onto your bellies. So we spend a lot of time kind of seated and folded forward. Let's give our body an opportunity to open up in the opposite direction. Bringing your elbows, just slide them back in towards your rib cage. Spread your fingers on the ground. Rest your forehead. Sorry, the mic is probably hitting the ground there. Lift your left leg up. Stretch it away from you. So it doesn't have to lift high. Just lift it off the ground. Lengthen it away from you. And notice how you've created a little more space there. It feels pretty good. Do that same thing on the other side. Lift your right leg up. Reach it away from your pelvis. Lower it back down. Now engage slightly through your belly. Keep all 10 toenails fanning down towards the ground. It's almost like there's a slight internal rotation here. Draw the shoulders back along the side body. So we're in a little bit of a back bend here already. This might feel exactly where you need to be. I'm keeping some muscular energy in my glutes. That helps us to move safely into a back bend. So on the inhale, slide your forehead forward, lift your chest. Keep that engagement through the glutes. Doesn't have to be hyper engaged, but there is some engagement there, recruiting those glutes. This might be your edge here. Listen to your body. What does your spine say? What does your back say? Is there something more that's appropriate? As you spread your fingers wide, maybe pull the mat towards you, shine your heart forward and up, keeping that action through the glutes. If your back starts to hurt, check out, oh, maybe I forgot about my glutes. Engage your quadriceps a little bit more. See if that takes that sense of compression out of your back. Breathing here. See if you're dropped down. If you did, that's not really healthy. Press into the floor with your forearms. Draw your shoulder blades back and your heart shining forward. It's like the back of your heart is trying to press forward, and then recruit your glutes again. Take your left ear over to your left shoulder and rotate your chin down. And coming back up, do that over to the other side, looking down towards the right edge of your collarbone. Keep the integrity here through your pose, through your glutes. And back up to center. Open the throat just a little bit more. And if it's suitable, take your legs a little wider. Maybe your hands come off of your mat. Maybe pressing into this pose that we call seal. Again, only if it's appropriate for your low back. Slide those shoulders away from the ears. Engage your glutes. Shine the heart forward. Any pinching in your low back, please stop and come back down. Tilt your chest slightly up. Feel it's almost as if the inner edges of your shoulder blades, the ones that are closest to your spine, are trying to press the heart forward. And slowly lower back down. Let's take those feet and point the toes away, called Crocodile Pose. And cross your arms at your elbows, hands on your shoulders, rest your chin on your wrists. Pause and relax. Let the weight of your bones drop down into the earth. Crocodile Pose, Vadrasana. Breathe into the capacity of your lungs. Chloe's doing a little stretch too. Hello, Chloe. Take your opposite opposite wrist and cross it over top. Hi, Chloe girl. I saw you do a down dog and stretch your back leg out. So we're coming towards the end. Just a few more moves here for our shoulders and back bending. Come back up onto your elbows. Take that right arm and slide it underneath your left as you extend your left arm forward. If it's too much, don't do it. Right palms facing the sky in a very relaxed way. You can rearrange your feet if you like to lengthen all 10 toes on the floor. You can even make a pillow for your head with your left wrist. So we're getting the benefit here of an extension of the spine, a bit of a back bend because our pelvis is on the ground. My chest is in a bit of my spine is in an extension. My chest is off the ground. And then we're also getting the benefit of stretching out those shoulders, deltoids. Let's take that to the other side. Right hand forward, weave your left arm under. And if it's too deep to go down, you can come up and just rearrange your body in a way that feels appropriate. Always can stack your other arm to support your forehead. And if this can't be done seated, you can do it kneeling or standing. We see this stretch. Sometimes it looks like this, right? And you can do this from a standing position. A couple more breaths. And coming back up. Please roll back over onto your back. Just sort of feel like a pancake being flipped front and back, forward and down, back and up. Walk those knees in towards each other and walk your feet out. So we've got an internal rotation here from our hips. So our femurs are rotating internally inside of our pelvic structure. Now bring your knees hip distance apart. Extend your right leg up to the sky and then cross that over your left leg. Inhale. On the exhalation, engage your abdominals, draw the knees into your chest. You can use your strap here to wrap it around your thighs, or if it's available, you can hold your shins. Check out the position of your neck if you forgot about it and you're jutting your chin way up. See if you can bring your chin and your forehead down to about the same height. And just gently encouraging some sensation here through the medial aspect of your glutes, your hips. And I like to bring action to my ankles, protecting my knees. You don't want to be feeling this in your knee joint at all. Now broaden your collarbones again. And releasing all of that out and take it to the other side. Left leg reaches up, crossing over, right. Inhale, exhale, draw knees into chest using your strap or hands on shins. Broaden those shoulder blades back down to the ground. But squeezing your inner thighs a little closer together, you might find a little bit more action here. And then those lazy ankles, let's bring some action to those as well. So I feel this predominantly through my outer left hip. What about you? And unwinding right foot to the ground and left foot to the ground. Bring those knees close together again. Walk your feet out. Does it feel any different? You just did a little bit more stretching of those muscles. Let's lengthen both legs down along the mat. Coming into Banana Asana, inhale, reach your arms above your head. Let those arm bones be supported by the earth. Let's take that right foot and cross it way over to the right. And now take your left foot and cross it over. Doesn't seem to come quite so far. It doesn't matter if it overlaces. So taking that right foot way over there, bring your left foot without taking that left hip off the ground. It might look like this, okay? Now keep that left heel rooted down. Bring your right foot over top of your left and squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. Now lifting up your upper body, hinge it over to the right and come back down to the earth. Feel that really great lengthening coming into it this way with this action through those ankles. So notice those ankles are glued together, inner thighs glued together, and really notice the sensation through the outer left side of the body. And we'll release that. Release the spine first back to neutral. Uncross the legs. Bring those back to neutral. Take your left leg out all the way over to the other side as far as you can. I need to shift here so that I can allow that to be so without lifting your pelvis off the floor. Now take your right leg and slide it in. So we call that when your leg comes in towards center. So that is adducting, so adducting, bring that in, and your feet are probably far apart. We want to stabilize that right heel into the ground here. So press that right heel into the ground like you're trying to press your right thigh bone into the ground. Now take your left ankle and cross it over the right and squeeze your legs closer together. So keep that action there. Keep those actively linked at your ankles. Inhale, reach the arms above the head and hinge over to the left now. Drop your right shoulder back down to the ground. Press out through that right hip a little bit more and keep that action through those interlinking of your ankles. And breathing into that right side of your body. So sometimes people say, oh, I don't really feel this. Well, see how you're here. Are you here really passively? I don't feel anything like that either. Let's bring a little more action by squeezing those inner thighs together, pressing, lengthening your left leg, pressing out through your right hip, maybe arching your body over a little bit more. Appropriately called banana asana. I feel like a little bit of a banana curve here. Remember banana bicycle seats? Oh, my headband's coming off. Some of you might not, but I do because I'm 54. I think I'm 54 this year. I remember banana bicycle seats. Let me know in comments if you had a banana bicycle seat. I like to know a little bit about people because I sit and share my life, so feel free. Uncross your legs. Bring your chest back to center. Bring your legs back to center. Release your arms down. Pause for a moment. Is there anything else in your body that is craving some movement? You won't know unless you tune in. So we were able to move the spine in twists and lateral flexions. We accessed the quadriceps and the hamstrings today and the shoulders and our QL, our area and our lower back. So chest tissue, we opened it up. But if there is something else that your body needs, please maybe practice another video. It's time for me to say goodbye. So to say goodbye, if you're done moving, roll over onto one side, help yourself to seated. Chloe, did you come to say goodbye as well? You did. Coming to cross-legged or kneeling. Thank you once again for joining me. I hope you feel alive and a sense of elongation, maybe a little upturned smile on your face. So did you know that it actually takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile? And that when we smile and then when we hug people and when we pet our pets, we are actually creating a physiological chain reaction in our bodies. So we are releasing a feel-good hormone when we smile, when we pet, when we touch. And touching, of course, right now is only for those who live with us. So give your loved ones that you're able to interact with lots of love, and give your pets lots of pets, and you will benefit from that. You will benefit from those feel-good hormones. It's like it releases this built-in chemical, well, it does release this built-in chemical reaction. So anyway, thank you for joining me, for listening to me ramble on. Believe it or not, I am a relatively quiet person, and this hour of speaking is probably the most that I'll speak all day, right, Chloe? Yeah. Bye. Yeah, my Chloe. How's my Chloe girl?